Here we are in our 5th week of isolation at Park Labrea. All over the world, everyone has turned to comfort food, foregoing their diets. I think a great deal of comfort can be derived from a platter full of small cheeseburgers. In fact, there's a national chain you've no doubt heard of. It's famous for them. Well, today here in our White Tower, we're going to replicate those famous little burgers. Now you might be thinking, so you're going to make cheeseburgers, only smaller. Not quite. Sliders are small cheeseburgers, yes, but what the fast food chain is actually famous for are steamers. The burgers aren't grilled, they're steamed. And I'm not making little ones. I'm making one giant one, at first. We'll need a pound of ground beef, 85% lean, a carton of Hawaiian dinner rolls, 1 can beef broth, deli-style American cheese, not plastic-wrapped singles, dehydrated chopped onions, dill pickles, and condiments. Let's start by estimating the size of our giant burger patty. The patty needs to be an inch bigger than the tray of buns. I put the tray on a sheet of parchment paper, mark the corners, and trim the paper. I season the ground beef with salt and pepper. Also a splash or two of the beef broth. Reserve most of it for later. We need this mixture to be very malleable, and liquid helps. Our giant patty needs to match the overall shape of the bun tray but extend a little over to account for shrinkage. That's why I cut the paper an inch bigger all around. The result is a very thin patty, just like the famous chain. Where a lot of copycat recipes go wrong is patty thickness. A generous patty upsets the ratio we're going for. To taste like the real thing, you want unusually thin patties. How thin? Well, that takes care of itself. See, we need 1 pound of hamburger to match the dimensions of the bun tray. When that happens, the patty is the right thickness, or should I say thinness. Now we firm up the patty in the freezer. Meanwhile, I'm preheating the oven to 350. When the oven bell goes off, the meat will be firm enough. Well, I underestimated how long it would take for the oven to heat up. It's a new model, and it was at 350 degrees in like 10 minutes. So I waited another 15 for the meat to firm up in the freezer. Now I'm ready to assemble it on a baking sheet. With the oven ready and waiting, I've covered a baking sheet with tinfoil for easy cleanup. In goes a new sheet of parchment paper, full size. I pour on the beef broth. Some of the broth is running under the paper, but it's not a big deal. I sprinkle in the dehydrated onions. The patty comes out of the freezer now. With a knife, score the patty into 12ths, as the buns are. This lets you visualize each burger. With a chopstick or a skewer or similar kitchen tool, poke each burger twice. Steam in the oven for 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes. I know it doesn't look pretty, but you can bet it will taste great. Now it's time for pickles and cheese. Be sure to put down the pickles first while you can still see the squares we drew with the knife. Back in the oven a minute to soften the cheese. Meanwhile, I whip up a secret sauce of ketchup, mustard, and Worcestershire sauce. With a bread knife, saw off the top half of the buns. Coat with sauce. The lower half of the buns is ready to receive. After that minute in the oven, the cheese is just right. With the aid of the parchment paper and a spatula, lift out the giant patty and let the broth drain away. I'm determined to do this by myself. Normally Eddie gives me a hand, but with everyone self-quarantining, you might not have kitchen help. With the spatula hand, I hold the meat in place and also anchor the bun tray with a finger. With my other hand, I'm sliding out the parchment paper. That's a good fit. Cover with the top buns. Divide and serve. And there you have it. From our White Tower comes a copycat recipe of a famous chain's steamers. Don't they look good? Moist from the broth, tart from the pickle, gooey from the cheese, and with just the right amount of beef so as not to upset the famous ratio. During these exceptional times, as we persevere together apart, be sure to take comfort where you can. Thanks for watching, and please tap subscribe if you're into this sort of thing.